It's been a while, almost a year, I guess, since my last recording of this course. Didn't mean to take that long, but anyways, here we are, ready to continue from where we left off. I was thinking originally of continuing with the for loop thing that I showed last time and how to make the whole pattern more arithmetic, so mathematics-based calculations. But instead of that, in this video, I'm going to actually switch over and introduce Git. The reason is that I am starting to feel a bit uncomfortable with no version control, because I actually do enjoy it and use it a lot when developing software. It is a key component to the development workflow for me. So now that we have some actual code there and we've done some modifications, and we'll be doing plenty of modifications in the future, it's time to set up version control and take that into our workflow. So as we are in Ubuntu, in a previous video I switched over to Debian, but that computer broke and now I'm back to an older computer where I'm in Ubuntu. So same things should work nonetheless. So let's open up the project. Actually, I haven't checked if there's a new version of Godot. Probably there's a 4 point something instead of 4.3 that I'm using here, but for today's video, I'm just going to go with 4.3 and maybe upgrade to a newer version later on. Might as well check that out. Okay, so 4.4.1 has been released and it's available. So yeah, maybe I'll just download that right away. Shouldn't take too long. And jump into getting that working. See, I think I remember putting things here. Yeah, there's 4.1, 4.2. Okay, seems it's really been a while. But yeah, let's extract and delete this. And now, since I also here have the desktop image, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So let's see, 441. So cd here to the local share applications. And here I've got Godot.desktop. So edit this to open up 4.4.1. And from 3.5, I've got the icon saved. So yeah, if it's still there, why not point it to that? :WQ. So I'm using Vim. Show that again, Vim as the text editor. I don't remember if that comes by default in Ubuntu, but you can also open it with just the text editor. So another way of going there is to go here to the file explorer, and here we can also show everything. Think show hidden files, so Control+H, and now we have a .local here. Share applications, and then this .desktop we can open with a text editor and do the modifications here, save it, and it'll do the same thing that I did in the console. Now Control+H, hide away the hidden files, which are the files or folders or directories starting with a period dot. But that's done, so I can close that. Now when I go here, get Godot, it should open 4.4.1. Let's see what it says here, 4.1, 4.2, checkers, and here we have 4.4.1. Okay, so that went smoothly. So let's open the checkers game and, okay, opening will change to 4.4, yes, that's fine. Let's see what we end up with here. something's happening. And okay. Scenes and review IDs. Next save. Save time, couldn't open and save each of the piles. Yeah, let's restart and upgrade. Sounds sensible to do that right away. Okay, and this is where we left off. So we had the dictionaries for the dark and white configurations, and if I press play, I should be able to have it here. Good, that's how far we got. And in this video, we're not gonna really do any changes to the game itself, other than now we have upgraded to use Godot 4.4. But what I'm gonna do is use Git and also set up GitHub for this. So let's actually close this now and go to the command line. So Git is by default installed in Ubuntu as far as I remember. So you can try it out if it's installed by typing which Git in the command line. And if it returns you a path as to where the executable is, then you have it. And you can also try just git -- version, and it'll show you what Git version you're using. So yeah, we have Git. Now, what we want to do is navigate to where our project is. So with me, I'm going to go to this file or folder. Then I have it here, I believe. There's software, checkers, and here we have it. Okay. So this now, if I do an ls-la, we have a .git ignore and .git attributes already added here, which was done when we set up the project to begin with. It added those Git files when we created the project. We can just see what they have there. So now it's telling to ignore the .godot and yeah, things there that might end up coming, and then Git attributes, yeah, normalize so that text files are all with just line feed, end of line. So makes sense. But we don't have a .git here, so this is not a Git repository. So to do that, I would actually have to quick cheat on how it was done. I think it was just git init. Yeah. That's how it is. So now that we're here in the folder, the directory where the project is, the project.godot, now we're going to make this into a Git repository by typing git init. Git is a very popular and powerful version control software for software. Well, not just software, just files on your file system, essentially, but software, very useful. And yeah, now we're just going to press enter. And it says it's initialized it. Using master as the name for the initial branch. Actually, yeah, I want to use main. Let's do that. It's actually, now there's a git status, but now I'm going to just go, let's remove the git directory here. Then it should remove the association to a git repository. So rmrf. Careful with rf. R is -rf. F is force. So whatever you do with this is gone forever. So be careful with that one. But yeah, now it's gone. And now there's no Git repository. So, oh yeah, what was the instructions for this one? Oh, GitHub has some nice Git guides, I guess. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what it told here. Git config global init.default branch main. Okay. So yeah, now we make a global Git configuration. So that means whenever we use Git, it will always use this as the default branch name. Now it's going to be master. So if I go here now, git branch or git status, it'll show on branch master. There's no main. I put git config and -l. So what configurations we have Git for here. So now it has this over here. And I've already done some Git work here. I've got like my username set up, my email, username, and then this pull.rebase merges, and then LFS as well is supported. Git LFS. We'll get to that soon. But yeah, now this is the configuration we added. But now what I'm going to do is do the removal of this, Git again, and do Git init. Now in the Git status, it says branch main. Master is the old default, and it's there in the backgrounds of Git, but main is the more popular kind of default branch name to which you merge your changes from other branches. Well, we'll get to that slowly, bit by bit. But for now, yeah. Git init is what you want to do once you have Git installed in Ubuntu, and I'm doing this in Ubuntu and for Linux Ubuntu Debian developers. So Git should be installed. If not, you'll have to find an instruction for that from Google. Most likely you can just do sudo apt install Git. Probably, maybe that. Oh, we can just check it. Oops, not that one. So sudo apt install Git. Yeah, seems to be the way. Yeah. Oh, Git all. Okay, but probably Git would also work. But yeah, that should work to install it. But okay, let's go through a recap. So when you open the terminal here in your user's home directory, and then wherever you've saved the Godot project to on your file system, that's where you need to navigate to using cd, so change directory. And for me, it's in my fishfood89 folder. And then here I've got the Learn Software Development. And here I have a software folder. And here I have checkers for the game. And now when I go here, this is where I then do the Git init. So I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. But you can check if you're in a Git repository by typing git space status. And then it shows you what branch you're on. There's no commits yet because we did it clean. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because we've already created a bunch of material here. A very popular way in which this is taught is by having first create a repository in GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket or some other remote hosting service for Git, which we're going to use. I'm going to be using GitHub. But there you then clone the repository to your machine, and then it already comes with an initial commit with a README or a license or something. But we actually started the kind of version or way in which we don't have any remote repository set up first, and we've actually worked a fair bit, and then we decided to use Git. So this is how you would do it. So you just do a git init in the directory where the project itself is, and you find the Godot project from wherever the project.godot file is. But now, what I'm going to do is add things to Git. So currently Git is saying that it's found a bunch of files, but these are untracked. That means Git isn't taking care of their version control. They're outside of version control. And here it's saying git add file, and to include what you will be committing to Git. Committing is like saving in a way. You're creating a snapshot, and you can choose to put all the files that were changed or a single file, or pick and choose which files you want to kind of add into your history of development. That's essentially what we want to track here, is the history of our development. So let's do that now. The simple way of getting all of these added into the same commit is to use git add dot or a period. The period here in the command line means current directory. And if there's any directories here, everything below it. But that's fine for now. And we luckily already have a git ignore that we checked. So if I go cat git ignore to see what's inside, so it's already ignoring this folder, which we have here. And it's not showing it here in the untracked things because it's already being ignored. So git ignore is a special file which Git recognizes, which tells Git ignore these character patterns or files that match these patterns. Yeah, anything in the file system that matches these patterns. And that's a comment, so this is ignored by git ignore. And then git attributes add other further attributes to Git. But that's why we're not seeing the .godot here, even though it is here. And we're not seeing .git either here naturally, because that's the repository itself, so you're not really gonna keep track of that with itself. But we do have an icon SVG, which is vector-based graphics, and this is actually something that we don't want to commit just like that. And actually I think this is the Godot icon, and we don't really need it. So I think to simplify things, I'm going to delete that. So let's go here, and we have this. So yeah, it's the Godot icon. So I'm actually going to remove this from here, because it's not something we created ourselves and it's not needed. And to track SVG files with Git, it's preferable to use Git LFS, so Git large file storage, and that we have not yet covered here. We'll cover that later. So now we should have less things. There are no more icons here, icon.svg and icon.svg import here. So now we're good to go. These are all just text files that we could track with Git without the LFS plugin easily. But yeah, now let's do the Git status. Those are untracked. All right, we're going to be using Git status a lot. Git add dot, this time dot, because we want all of those untracked things that Git status showed us to be tracked, and we want them in the same commit. We want them behind the same message, the same snapshot of our project. So now when we type in git status and give that to the command line, it says, all right, we have a new file based on the version control for the version control. So git, this is a new file. It's never tracked it before, and or isn't currently tracking it. And then these are now staged. So changes to be committed, and there's so-called staged for committing. And then if we want to unstage things, then it's telling us how we can get them away from here so that they're not being added to the commit. But we want to add them now, so we'll just go ahead and do that. To commit, type in git commit and enter. Now pay attention that if you don't have Vim as your default editor for git committing, then you're going to have a different view. So actually, let's actually try that out. So I'm going to do so I have core.editor is Vim, but Vim I don't think is installed by default to Ubuntu. So, but to be able to follow along with what I do here, I do recommend installing it. Gonna be simple to use. But yeah, let's see, how do I remove that configuration? Remove global configuration. Let's see, what does this say? Unset. Yes, that's what it was. So git config global unset core.editor. All right, cool. So now it's there. And I should actually go through some of the other configurations here before we commit. What we need to do is give a name for the user who is creating the commit, and also the email address. That's good to have. For now, just think of it as needed. So the way you do that, and to make life easier so that you'll always have the same username and email in all your projects, you can do git config global. But if you don't put global, it'll save the configuration only for this project, this Git repository. But keep it global now. So git config global user.name, and then you put your name here. For example, I put fishfood_89, fish_food89. So what you do is type in your name there. You can have spaces and whatever as long as you have these double quotes. And for the email, you do the same thing and type in your email at something.something. Yeah. And then they will end up here. You can check that they went correctly by using git config global L. Then another configuration that we'll do is the pull.rebase merges. So what we want to do is that when we do a git pull from the repository, the remote repository, which we're going to set up in another video, is to have the pulling first rebase the things from the remote repository to the bottom of the history, and then on top of that, your fresh development things. So this is what this configuration takes care of. But yeah, then you should end up with at least these three things. And if you did the default branch naming earlier, then this would end up here as well. And these things you would not have present in your git config global, because unless you've already installed git LFS yourself previously. So I'm assuming that no one's done anything with Git so far. But of course, some people watching this may already be very familiar with Git, so you'll know what you're doing, hopefully. But now that I've removed the Vim editor, so core editor Vim, now it'll default to, I believe, Nano on Ubuntu. And now we'll do the commit. So now we can just check nothing's changed in Git status. So now I'm going to do git commit. And this is what you would see if you don't have Vim installed in Ubuntu. Yeah, you open up Nano. And then here it says please enter a commit message. These are all comments, so none of these are being put into the message, but we'll give a title first. Let's give it a title of initial commit. And then let's leave an empty space or empty line after the title. And then we'll put a kind of message, a body to the message. Like this is the one where you're going to be more verbose and explain why something's happening. And the title is just the title of the commit. So there's the initial commit, and what are we doing here? Why? So initializing the repository with the work. And let's try to keep these lines not too long. So enter there, work we have done so far. And now in Nano, this array here means control. So control X to exit once we're happy with our message. And then it says save modified buffer. So buffer is whatever is still in memory, not stored to the file. So we'll press Y or yes, and then we'll leave the file name as it is. So now you just press the enter key and done. And now it says here, initial commit, this many insertions, this many files, created those modes. Now we can now check git status, nothing to commit, nothing untracked, nothing staged. Now we can check our message and our commit from git log. And here we have, there's the commits ID, it's unique ID, it's hash. And then here we have who and what email created this commit. And this is then when it was done, and title and the message. And this is why I put a new line here, because reading in the command line, if the command line terminal happens to be, this narrow, then you'll still be able to read it without problem. It won't do the wrapping in a funky way. So makes it a bit easier. But yeah, now we've added things to version control. And now we'll just make a small little change to the project. Well, actually, no. Let's save that for later. In the next video, I'll set up GitHub. Close that terminal with Control D. We'll set up GitHub for this project. And because I'm going to be using that, I want to track this and I don't want to lose things. And I'm probably going to make this a public repository. So that'll also come there as a bonus for everyone. But yeah, we'll take care of that next and then get into working with a software developer's workflow using Git. So stay tuned and remember to pause and go back in the video, as I am recording this in a kind of stream of thought manner, as if I'm live streaming this, but I'm not. I'm still going to edit a few things here and there, but things come as they come to my mind. So it's all there. Go back, rewind, pause, go through things again if you missed some part. But it's all there in the video. So that's about it. Have fun. Until next time. Bye-bye.